The Reid Technique 8 video fact sheet. My name is Joseph Buckley, president of John Reid and Associates. The firm was established in 1947. Today, John Reid and Associates is a leading authority in the world for conducting training programs on proper interview and interrogation procedures. Our training materials have been translated into a number of languages, including Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, Arabic, and German. And we have conducted training programs in many countries throughout the world, including the 24 that you see on the screen, Germany, South Korea, Brazil, India, the Philippines, etc. The Reid commitment is to protect the innocent and identify the guilty. The Reid technique emphasizes ethical, legally sound investigative interviewing and interrogation practices designed to gather reliable information while respecting individual rights. It's important to understand that the following behaviors are the primary causes of false confessions: physically abusing the subject or threatening to do so, threatening inevitable consequences. If you don't sign this confession, I'll make sure you never see your kids again. Promises of leniency, denial of rights, denial of the opportunity to satisfy their physical needs, conducting excessively lengthy interrogations, disclosing to the subject crime details, failure to properly take into account the subject's mental limitations and or psychological disabilities, failure to properly modify approaches with socially immature juveniles, and failure to properly corroborate confession details. Consequently, we teach investigators never to engage in any of those behaviors. Instead, we teach that all investigators should adhere to and follow the Reid core principles of practice, which are: always treat the subject with dignity and respect, always conduct interviews and interrogations in accordance with the guidelines established by the courts, do not make any promises of leniency, do not physically abuse the subject or threaten to do so, do not threaten inevitable consequences, do not conduct interrogations for an excessively lengthy period of time, never deny the subject any of their rights, and do not deny the subject the opportunity to satisfy their physical needs. And exercise caution when questioning socially immature juveniles or individuals with mental or psychological impairments. If investigators follow and adhere to these Reid principles of practice, they will be able to secure valid and truthful statements of involvement from the offender. It should be noted that oftentimes defense attorneys or their false confession experts will suggest that the Reid technique causes false confessions, but they cannot point to any such evidence. And the courts recognize this. Consider as an example the court's opinion in United States versus Jocks. The court stated the following about the defendant's false confession expert's testimony, quote, "In sum, the proffered expert testimony to the effect that the Reid technique enhanced the risk of an unreliable confession lacked any objective basis for support whatever. Although Professor Hirsch insisted that there was a wealth of information about the risks of the Reid technique, he could point to none." In June of 2004, in the case of Missouri versus Siebert, the United States Supreme Court referenced our company and our book, Criminal Interrogation and Confessions, as examples of law enforcement resources that offer proper training regarding Miranda. In 1994, the Supreme Court had referenced our book in making their decision in the case of Stansberry versus California. In a 2026 review of the 50 state Supreme Court and appellate court decisions that referenced the Reid technique in one of their decisions, no court opinion labeled the Reid technique as coercive, illegal, prohibited, or that it violated due process in any way. Over the years, we have done a number of cases for the Innocence Project in which we have testified as expert witnesses on proper interview and interrogation procedures and whether or not they were applied in this particular instance. And in fact, in one of the cases, we obtained a confession from the actual offender, which led to the exoneration of one of their clients. That particular case was detailed in a story called I Did It in New York Magazine. You can see the website link on the screen. Results from a survey of 31,000 Reid interview and interrogation course graduates found that 98.99% of the respondents said they would recommend the program to one of their colleagues. 98% indicated that their skill level in conducting interviews and interrogations increased to above average or excellent as a result of the training. In conclusion, the Reid Technique Principles of Practice present the safest and most effective means by which to conduct investigative interviews and interrogations, while on the one hand protecting the subject's rights, while at the same time securing accurate admissions of guilt from the offender. For more information about the Reid Technique, please visit our website, reid.com, to explore our training programs, investigator tips, what's new, and products. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation.